So the discussion board's participation is 1/3 of the class. The assignment papers, which I mentioned, are 3 of them. The third one is going to be your final paper. In other words, you're going to put together a paper discussing what paper you're going to do. There'll be 2 pages that will lend to your final paper. And then your final paper will be, you'll have a choice of doing a research paper, or if you're involved in marketing already and want to put together a marketing plan, you can use that as your final graded assignment. Okay? So far, does that make sense?
I'm just trying to see if I can see how many pages do these papers need to be?
Okay, so in the case of the individual papers, they'll be 3 to 4 pages. Your final paper will probably 10 or more. Okay? Your discussion board papers don't need to be longer than a page. All right? I don't want colloquials. In other words, I'm sorry.
In regards to the discussion papers, right? The discussions, you said you only have to reply to 2 discussions?
Right. So you're going to do your first reply, and then you're going to reply to 2 other students. That's why you have to get these discussions and say Tuesday night. That's no good, right? So you have to get it done well before then so that all the students can see what you've replied and these are not off the cuff, small dotting the I's. This is fully thought out. So I would type it up on a Word document and then put it in. This isn't a little paragraph, hi, I really like the story. You have to, for answering in the discussion board, show how you've connected it to the chapter, what the essence of the story is about. Does that make sense, Tyrone?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. So that's what I'm looking for there. On your comments to others, they don't have to be as, I would like you to pick something out. For instance, you might have seen something that they connected to the chapter that you hadn't thought of and that you were impressed with that, and it may also connect to this. So that kind of conversation where it's thoughtful, you get insights, and whatever you might personally connect to it, that's fine too. Kind of stimulate the learning and move things along, and it actually gets kind of fun, and there's some interesting and fun stories for you that kind of enhance about each time. So that's it for the grading list. Does anyone have any other questions on that?
How many other students do we comment on?
2. So when there's a discussion board, you reply to 2 other students. Okay, and we'll go through it next week. We'll test it out, and then it's going to get easier and easier for you. Okay? But thank you. Thanks for asking. Anybody else have any questions on that?
No, I just think we are panicking because I don't know for the others. Most of us have not used this before, so maybe.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead, test it out. If you have any questions, you can test it with me. Until you feel comfortable, okay? And that's with any issues with this. Look, I understand it's brand new. Most of you have used Blackboard, correct?
Yes.
And we haven't had this live mandatory option, right? So I know it's a little different for you. Guys, we'll get through all this good stuff. And I think you're going to enjoy it once we really get going with it. Okay? And at any time, if you have questions, I sent you the IT people's information. I'm glad to where I can. I'm going to be recording sessions. So, if there's the occasional session that you can't be there for, I record it and then I will post it in the module. So if it's week 2, I'll post it within week 2, and you'll be able to play the entire piece and go back and forth. Okay, so if it works, I'm going to be testing it out tonight, and if it works, if not, we'll look to whatever other options that we can use. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go down here a little bit so you can see every week I show you what the assignments are in here. If anything changes, I will send you an email. It'll be really clear. Everything say the same thing that's on here. So you can go back and forth through there to see whatever you need to do every time, right? So, see here, whenever there's a paper due, there's no discussion board because I want you to put your full work towards that, okay? I may add videos as we go along. I may add other materials, but I tell you every time, if you're ever unsure, please reach out to me. I'll do it as soon as I can, okay? Any other questions at this point on the syllabus or on the grading, what's coming up? Now, I realize that many of you are involved in the international program from your snapshot bios. Really, like I said, very interesting stuff, and I know it's a little different. So we're going to really go to marketing more basic level. We're going to start at the start, okay? So I'm actually going to do that with you right now. I'm going to switch to a whiteboard page. And what I'm going to do is give you the basics of what marketing is about. You all have some idea, I'm sure. Yes, TV commercials are a part of it, but as we're going to learn, part of advertising, which is part of promotion, just one of the 4 P's of marketing we'll also learn about tonight and move forward. But the best way I've found to start to learn about marketing is just okay, and circle represents what's called the consumer marketplace. So the consumer marketplace represents anyone in the world who buys anything, whether it's the poorest person in the least developed nation who can afford a bag of rice, or the guy who afford Ferraris because 3 just won't do. All are part of this consumer marketplace. Okay, so anybody who buys anything in the world are part of the consumer marketplace. And when we look at this, let me go through here. What I'm going to do now is just cut this up like a pizza. Now, I know some of you might be starving right now because you're waiting for me to get done to eat, but I'm too hungry. Each one of these lines represent various what are called segments. Okay? So these segments, and the reason we do this is that you don't want to market every product to everybody, right? Break it down and figure out who best to market to. So in order to get there is to break this market down into various demographic, geographic, lifestyle. How many of you have worked with, I assume you all understand demographics at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've heard the term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's a key demographic to you?
Age.
Age, great. All right, so let's start talking about some of these demographics, and let's just type them up here, just so we can see how this works. All right, so age, what else?
Student.
Okay, well, student could be, definitely. What else?
Race, income.
There we go, now we're flying here. What else?
Gender.
Gender, excellent.
Education level.
Good.
Favorite color.
I'm sorry?
Favorite color.
Favorite color, we'll come back to that. There is something to, you're not wrong, and that has to do with, let's put lifestyle, okay? Because you're not wrong. There are people who are, as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about cars in India, and Ford was successful in the colors they used. So we'll look at that. What else we got?
Location, where you live.
Good. So this is what's called geographics. And when you were saying color, that also connects to what's called psychographics, people in their mind. So all these are various segments that we can use, but we combine them, right? Most of you are in the prime demographic segment here in the U.S., which is that 18 to 34-year-old. Can you? I'm sorry, if we can mute that one part. It's getting a little loud there. Thanks. When you look at different segments, the 18 to 34-year-old segment is really critical here in the U.S. So let's put that one in here. Let's do. I don't know if you can see this whole piece in the pie there, but it should say 18 to 34-year-olds in the U.S. And there's a couple of reasons of why it's so important here. The biggest reason is you're building lifetime customers. So by exposing you now to the various marketing efforts, by the same soap, the same shampoo, the same toothpaste, throughout your life. That's what they're trying to do to get you now. So they're going to put more of a focus on these 18 to 34-year-olds than they will say to me, you know, I'm in my 50s. They're not going to push as hard to me because it's likely I'm not going to be changing my mind. But the 18 to 34-year-olds, they are looking to grab marketers. So, you know, one of the things that we do, yeah, we're going to get into social media and how important it is to get traffic. We're going to look at all the ways that you do that. So for many marketers, this is a target market. All right. So once we've made up all the different segments, target segment or segments that we most need to be profitable. So again, guys, this was stated in the textbook, but I just want to be really clear. So in our marketplace, we have our various segments, and we target and pick the ones that we think we can most likely sell to. Really important here also is to understand the idea of consumer. Okay, so you can see up here, I'm saying consumer demand equals wants plus buying power. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people may want something, but can they afford to buy it? Like, how many of you would like a Ferrari? Probably. How many of you can afford to pay for one? Well, I got a Ford, so I don't know about you, but I'm out on the Ferrari. Although people want it, can they afford to buy it? So you need to understand that. And based on that pieces, you'll choose your target market, your target markets based on all these different segments. All right. An interesting one, if you look at Harley Davidson, they've done a really good job of targeting the market that they really wanted. So now they're going after a different market. Can anybody guess who Harley Davidson might be going after now?
Younger population, the younger demographics.
Well, that's really good, Tyrone, and they're doing that too. But this one, is a different one than they've ever done before.
Women?
Good. Who said that? Good job, Crystal. You win the prize. So, Harley Davidson and women. Why? Why would Harley Davidson go after women now?
Because women are riding motorcycles more? I don't know.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Because women are getting motorcycle licenses more?
Well, I'm not sure if that's true. That could be.
Maybe because now they're recognizing
They
I'm
have
sorry?
they have
More
more
money.
disposable income.
Good. They have more money, right? They're more independent. Hey, I got a job just like you. I'm working hard. I'm independent. People are not getting married as quickly here. Why can't I have a bike? And Harley's using that to say, yeah, let's see if we can make this work. Now, they are making different bikes for women that are a little more comfortable for them, but it's still pushing the same kind of marketing effort. Okay, so okay, guys, if you have background noise, I'm going to ask you to please mute the computer if you have background noise going on. Okay, thank you. So again, just to go over it again, what I want you to remember from this is the consumer marketplace. Anyone who buys anything in the world, we segment, we target, and we target based on these different areas and what the demand is. Okay? So these and the 4 Ps are the basics we're starting with marketing. So does anybody have any questions here right now? Any questions before I move on? Okay, you have to unmute your mic if you have any questions. Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, let's move on to the next piece then, which will be the 4 Ps of marketing. And yeah, we're going to see it again in the chapter when we get to the PowerPoint, but I just want to explain to you what are the 4 Ps and what do they mean. How many of you heard that term before? Has anyone heard of the 4 Ps? Okay, Crystal, you haven't had a marketing class, but you have heard of it?
In the book.
Ah, good answer. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so anybody remember the 4 Ps?
Product,
All right,
price, place, and promotion.
good. Okay. Product, place, price,
Information.
and promotion. Now, really important here is understand that these 4 Ps are what's part of what's called the marketing mix. I'm going to refer to either. I might say the 4 Ps, I might say the marketing mix. Now, why it's important is these don't work exclusively. One needs the other to be successful. If any of the 4 are out of whack, you can be unsuccessful. Most importantly, though, always is product. No matter what you do well with the other 3, if you have a bad product, it's going to fail. As an example, you hear about a restaurant. They do some terrific promotions. They say half off, so now the price is looking right. It's close to where you live, so in place or distribution, it's nearby. So all 3 are done well. You go to the restaurant and the food and the service stinks, you're never going back. Conversely, let's take the same restaurant, but now they have great food. Well, the place is a little hard to get to. The price is a little high. Might you still go? Well, if the food's that good, maybe, right? If there's something really special there. And if they promote that you're going to pay more and get more, that it's that fancy, you may go. So really important to understand that this marketing mix involves all 4 Ps and that product is always the most important. The others can be fixed. They're difficult, it's not easy, and they're all very important. You might promote to the wrong group. We just talked about the markets and who you segment to. Occasionally, marketers make a mistake and pick the wrong segment for a market, whether it be a TV show that they think is going to work with 18 to 34-year-olds and it really works better with 40 to 50-year-olds, whether it's a type of car, whatever it might be, they might make a mistake there. Place or distribution of where it's sold, that you may need to work on. If you're selling jewelry that's in Target that should be in Tiffany's, you've got a real problem. So these 4 pieces here, we're always looking at, and that's why I have another circle here, is that they're all working together, and that's what I mean by the marketing mix, okay? So the 4 Ps of the marketing mix: product, place, price, and promotion. Now, price we're going to look at later in the semester, and we're going to really break it down about how do you properly price something. And the basic there is we price it either on what it costs and then what we need for our profit, or what do people think it's worth. And that's what's called value-based pricing. You don't need to remember this yet. I just want to kind of
Is that the same, Professor?
Yeah.
Professor, is that the same as a focus group?
Well, a focus group for price, that you may learn about it there. So that might be a way that you can find out, right? So you ask people, what do you think this is worth? So for example, if you take a Rolex watch, right? In people's minds, a Rolex watch that goes for 20,000 is worth 20,000. The true cost is probably about 2,000 or 3,000. So the margin is phenomenal. Conversely, when you're selling eggs or milk, people have a set price of what they think that is. And if you're not fitting within there, you're probably not going to sell it unless you can promote it as something very different. So we'll get to it, but I just want to suppose, does that help, Tyrone? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, there's a delay there on the camera. And then on promotion, one of the big things I want to get across to you is that while television commercials are important, while social media is helpful, there are many different ways to promote. And one of the best ways you promote, depending on what your product or service is, may not use either. You might use print, radio, internet, sponsorship, sales. All those are different ways of promoting. We're going to get into it. So just for now, know that promotion means a lot more than TV advertising, okay? And that there are many different ways, and then we're going to work together on different pieces to think about, where did promotions work really well and how did they work so well? Many of you, if you've lived in Manhattan, might go by Times Square and they give away some sample of a drink. You try it, you love it, and now you're drinking it. Now, all the TV commercials in the world weren't going to excite you as much as you tasting it that day. Just as an example of a separate type of promotion. A contest is a sales promotion. That might get you to buy something. All different things that can work in there. We're going to go through that as well. In terms of place, now the other three are really true P's, product, price, promotion, but place is really about what's called distribution. And distribution is getting our stuff made and then getting our stuff sold. And if we're not selling it directly to the customer, we're using others to sell for us. And that we talk about in the distribution process. If you think about a product like sunglasses, if you're Ray-Bans, you're going to be in a number of different stores where you're going to sell. You're going to be on the internet, on different e-sites, all different ways that you sell. And then where are you getting your glasses made? For example, how many of you have iPhones?
Yes.
iPhone, yeah, most of you probably do, right? A lot of the glass that's made for the iPhones are made by Samsung. A little weird, right? Same factory in China that makes the glass there. So that's part of this distribution process, and we're going to get into that as well as we go through the semester. The product itself, believe it or not, most products are not physical products. Most products are services. So a doctor, a lawyer, me as a teacher, a plumber, electrician. Around the world, about 90% of goods sold are service goods and 10% physical products. Here in the US, it's about 60-40 because we're such huge consumers. We in the United States, just to give you an example of our marketplace, we buy, and China just caught up to us. We consume as many things, we spend as much dollars on different consumer items than does China, with well over 4 times our population. We are giant consumers, and that's why the rest of the world loves selling stuff to us. All these different issues we're seeing going on potentially with the tariffs you may have heard of with China, et cetera. While we don't want to have a difficult negotiation with China, they don't with us either, because we buy a lot of their stuff. So this goes back and forth, and this is a big part of marketing, and we're going to talk about the effect on distribution when something changes. I teach international marketing as well, and it gets even more extensive. So this is just an idea, guys, to understand that these 4 Ps are not standalone items, that they should be looked at together as a whole marketing manager. So next week, when you look at chapter 2, it's going to be all about marketing management. And we're going to break that down about what exactly do companies do with their marketing and put it all together. All right. So guys, this again is just an overview, the basics of marketing I want you to take away before we get into our first chapter. Some of you might have struggled with the first chapter. It's the most difficult one. It's the most intensive because it's an overview of everything to come. So many things that we're going to discuss in chapter 1, we're going to discuss later, but just more in depth. So don't feel badly if it doesn't all make sense to you right away. We'll get there. And please, at any time, when you're reading the chapter, you don't understand something, reach out to me, email me, be happy to. And I'm happy to set up a one-on-one or somehow your friends, 3 on people with me, and we'll do a separate video chat and just go over some of the things you may not be sure of. Okay, so please feel free. And whenever there's time permitting for both of us, we'll make that work. Okay. Any questions on this right now? All right, I'm going to give the 5. I don't know how else to do this, guys, so this is new to me too. I'm sorry, did someone have a question? No? 4, 3, 2. All right. So we're going to get into the PowerPoint now, okay? And I'm going to skip some slides along the way. How's everybody doing? We all right? Day 1? Good? Everyone okay? Look at that. Look at all those smiles. Just that marketing happiness. Okay. Jump into the PowerPoint here. Okay. Let me just fit this to the page. Can you see this okay? Look okay to you guys?
Yes.
All right, big enough? Just want to make sure. Okay. So here's what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about the process, understanding the customers, marketing strategy. We're going to talk about customer relationship management and trends coming up. Okay. How many of you have used Zappos or know what Zappos is?
Shoe company.
Good, yeah. But they're an online shoe company, right? So
Yes.
when they first came out, that was a big problem for people because, as you know, not every shoe fits. When they say size 10, it's not always the same size 10, right? And people really like to try them on. So what does Zappos do to be successful? They give amazing customer service. You can talk to them for as long as you want. They're going to work with you. And they did a really interesting strategy. Those of you who use Ashley, Zappos, what do they allow you to do?
Free returns.
For how long?
A whole year.
A whole year. So you could order 10 pairs of shoes, wait 364 days, and return your shoes. Think about being an accountant for one of those companies or for Zappos. So you think you made this much money and you don't really know for a year. And you're paying for all that shipping. It's free shipping. Now, in order to do that, they had to cut way back on their promotional budget. So we looked at the 4 Ps of marketing. Their plan was, we're going to spend more on the shipping and we're not going to promote. So we're going to have to count on word of mouth, more about people sharing with each other their positive experiences. And that has everything to do with customer relationship management. So they need for that to work. Now, this can't work for every company, right? If you're selling M&Ms, this isn't going to happen. But for Zappos, it's worked really well. So it's interesting the way they're able to do that. And just interestingly, the employees that they hire, when they're first hired, they get offered $2,000 to $3,000 to quit. And very few of them do. So just kind of a fun intro, I think. All right. So you can see, what is marketing? When they say managing customer relationships, this is really different from when I learned marketing originally. Original goal of marketing was get people to buy, and you're done. Now, as the textbook stresses, and this is really important to understand, that's almost just the starting point. Once you get them to buy, now you've got to convert them to be regular customers. It's really hard to get them. That's not easy. But once you get them, it's keeping them and getting them to reach out and get other customers for us. And this is one of the most important things to understand, is that we have too much coming at us every day. We have what's called selective attention, retention, and distortion. So if you can remember when you were undergrads and you had 5 classes, let's say, on an average semester, well, you're paying attention to all those classes. You're all really good students, so you guys are probably doing really well. The next day, you know, how much of that did you really remember? And the same thing kind of happens with marketing and promotion. You're getting literally hundreds of pieces of information every day that a lot of them right away you're like, nope, nope, nope. One might get through and might say, oh, that's kind of interesting. And the next day you've forgotten it. But maybe 1 or 2 of them get through to you, say, oh, that's interesting. The next day you remember, and you call that 1-800 number that they said 80 times. Once we've got you there, now we've got to keep you satisfied. Make sure our products stay solid every time. Well, so like that restaurant example, great food, great service every time, so that you're going to tell others and bring them in. Because you're telling others, as we're learning in marketing now, is one of the biggest ways to keep customers and grow. It's not just how much we promote, but how well the customers feel about it and share with others. There are so many ways. You know, now I realize most of you have iPhones. I don't know how many of you use, let's say, Instagram. How many use Instagram? A couple of you. How about Snap? Okay, or you might tweet others. You know, real and say, hey, I had a great time tonight, enjoyed this restaurant. And now think of how many people's minds you're putting that in. So we as marketers need that. And conversely, right, if you have 1 negative experience and 8 really good ones, chances are the one they're going to remember is that real negative one. And people are going to stay away because you gave it the downside. So really important to keep satisfaction, and we're going to talk about the different ways that you can do that, okay? And again, the old one, tell them what it is, sell them. Now we're all about satisfying customers' wants and needs. And they change. To me, the idea of buying a salad at McDonald's was bizarre. I'm a lot older than you guys. When salads first came out at McDonald's, I thought they were nuts. But things changed. People got into healthier lifestyles. It made a lot more sense. They're satisfying new needs, right? Yeah, you can still get the Big Mac there, but you can get something healthy. So you have to constantly think about what do customers want now. And if you don't, it creates, and if you're writing things down, please write this down. It can create what's called marketing myopia. And I'll just put it on our little chat thing here so you can see it. And myopia is what happens when you stop thinking about satisfying customers' needs and just worry about making a new product, a better product, and not consider what the consumer wants. A great example of that was—
because you're not looking at the big picture.
Good, exactly. So think of it like a horse with blinders on. They have no idea what's on either side of them. They have no idea what's around them. A great example of that is Blockbuster Video, right? Your parents might have gone to Blockbuster, and so they went into DVDs, and they had the ability for you to ship them if they wanted to. And then they see this rising competitor that they don't really pay much attention to, Netflix, right? Now, they had, just so you know, Blockbuster had hundreds of millions of dollars in reserves. In other words, just profits that they could use for whatever they feel they need to keep the business growing. And they completely missed these new wants and needs of customers. First, the DVDs being sent, and then they slowly catch on to that. And second, the downloads that are available now through Netflix. Now, what they likely should have done is create their own product to compete. So create their own downloadable system, their own DVD sends, and all that kind of good stuff. Or, which is often the case in marketing and business too, is buy the other one out if they're willing to sell. Coke and Pepsi stay on top all the time because they do that. Pepsi bought Gatorade. Coke created Powerade because these energy drinks became more popular. If any of you drink that juice drink Naked, you know what I mean? The really expensive fancy juice there with all kinds
Yes.
of important ingredients, $4 or $5 a bottle.
Mhm.
It is owned now by Coca-Cola because they see, hey, this is a customer need that we can suffice. It's getting popular. Let's buy them out. So companies should be looking at what's going on around them so they don't make those mistakes. Sometimes it's really hard. So I don't know if you remember, you probably were about 10, 12 years old when the mini laptops came out. I don't know if you guys remember that. They were about yo big. And
notebooks. I love those.
yeah, I like them too. And so every company, electronics company, were competing and making these mini laptops or mini notebooks. But one company did something different. Anybody know what that is?
Apple.
Yeah, so here comes the iPad, right? And because of that, after all of this different type of development of new types of mini laptops didn't matter. Now everybody wanted the tablet. So all that money you spent on research, development, product, promotion, out the window. But that's just reality. So you have to kind of react to it. So you have to decide, hey, can we make tablets? If we can't, we stay out of this piece of the business. So it can be very difficult. And it's amazing how some of the biggest companies in the world have made these mistakes. AOL.
Can I just chime in, Professor?
Please.
Yeah, I was just going to say Xerox made the same error when we're talking about marketing mytopia when it came to the Polaroid film industry and actually the development of film. They had an opportunity and they had the resources, they had the technology to move into a digital era, but they did not do that, and they did not get caught up until it was way too late when other companies came over and took over the technology, and Xerox pretty much failed. If you ask many younger students now.
No, it's excellent, Tyrone. Excellent example. A matter of fact, most of you are probably too young to remember that Xerox was an acronym that people used it instead of making a copy. They said, go make a Xerox. Just like we'll say, go Google something now.
Yes.
Maybe go Xerox it. That's how big they were. So great example. You're absolutely right. All right, so I'm going to move on a little bit here. I know we're not going to be able to get through the entire chapter tonight, but there is a piece I really want you guys to see, and that's this. What I'd like you to do at home, I don't know if you saw on Canvas, all the PowerPoints are available. I want you to pull out this slide for yourselves, print it out, because this is our map on everything we're going to be doing through the semester, okay? And this is exactly shows us how we're going to get to where we're going to be and what we need to do. So the first one here, I'm going to start with the end to tell you what we want to be at. And you may have read in the chapter, but let me just be really clear about what they're saying here. So here we're talking about capturing value from customers to create profits and customer equity. What we're basically saying here is we've got great customers who keep buying our stuff, and they're telling others how great we are. And they're telling us what's right and wrong with our product. So we've got great communication with them, and they are advocates for us. That's what we want. We want lifetime value from customers. We're going to also bring new customers in. So they're the ones who are going to tell their friends, family, colleagues, hey, you've got a great product. Roomba does that really well. I don't know if you know the little vacuum cleaner that goes around the house by itself and automatic like a robot computer. People love it. And they actually came up with 2 great new products for the company, telling them, hey, we love your product, but we'd like to see one that cleans up pet hair. And then they did another one, we love your product, but we'd like to see one that could clean pools. And enough people told them that, they created the products, and now they have 2 more successful products. So that's a fantastic example of what we're looking at here, right? So this is where we're trying to get to. So when my girls were little, I don't know if you guys ever saw Dora the Explorer, but this is I'm the map, I'm the map. So if you have that little song in your head and that helps you, we'll go with that. For those who don't know Dora the Explorer, you can just keep looking at me weird. That's fine. But here's where we start, okay? In order to get here, understand the marketplace, which we just explained, the consumer marketplace, right? That big circle. And the customer's wants and needs, which we talked about too, which are ever changing. After that, we're going to do what's called design a customer-driven strategy, and we'll get into that likely next week since we can't finish today, where we find out who our market is. So when we're looking here, it's who's our target markets. Do you remember when I talked about segmenting and then the target markets? So here we're figuring out who's our target markets and why buy our product versus another similar product. So we asked 2 basic questions here in the design a customer-driven strategy. 1, who is our market? Okay, so who is our target market or markets if there's more than one? And 2, how do we differentiate ourselves? Okay, so when I say how we differentiate ourselves, this is in what are called similar competitors, right? A similar marketplace. How many of you have an iPhone again? Show of hands, how many of you have an iPhone? So almost all of you. Now you had choices, right? You didn't have to. No one said you must buy this iPhone. You may have gotten one for work or some other reason, but most of you chose it on your own. So what is it that iPhone's done that made you say, I'm going to buy this instead of a Galaxy or an HG or whatever it might be?
I felt pressured because everything markets to iPhone first. And so, if you buy something, it's already available for iPhone. And when you deal with a job or anything else, they say, get this app or get this, and assume that you are using Apple software first.
Okay.
And if not, they come up with some sad backup option.
Well, that's interesting. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, anyone have a different reason?
I think it's because of the whole Apple brand. So
Okay, really good.
they
Who said that? I'm sorry.
kind of create kind of like prestige.
Is this Carolina?
Yes.
Yeah, Carolina, thank you. So you bought the iPhone because you like the Apple brand in general. Is that fair to say?
No, actually, I don't have it because of that. But what I'm saying is that most people I see that have it, it's kind of like customer loyalty, because I noticed also they've had other Apple products and they kind of like stick with it. And the brand in itself is just it can be like, for instance, two devices with the exact same technology, but it's the name of the iPhone that makes it even a higher value.
Great. Really, and that's that's something. You have that brand equity, and we're going to talk about that. People fall in love with the brand. It can be the big reason that they buy that phone, that car, that radio, what have you. So really good. So we have to figure out, like, many of you might want to be entrepreneurs, and you have an idea for something that's kind of out there in the marketplace, but what's special about yours? And if you can't answer that, you're not going to sell anything. You've got to be able to do something different within that marketplace that you really like. So if it's fast food, there's a huge difference between Taco Bell and McDonald's in terms of their offerings. Burger King and McDonald's, although similar, differences there too, right? And you have your preferences, and they have to market those preferences to you, and then you determine, the marketplace determines what they're going to have. But if we can't answer this, we're going to fail before we start. So this is what we're doing along the way, okay? Again, to getting where we're going to finish off. but really good. Thank you, guys. Constructing an integrated marketing program. This is where we put in the 4 Ps. So after we've done this, we considered where we're positioned, in other words, who we're competing with, how we're going to price, how we distribute, what the different types and levels of product that we have, and how we're going to promote. All right? So that's what we're doing here. Here's where we put in, and let's just see if I can do it there. 4 Ps for marketing mix is this 3rd step. Okay? All good there? All right. Now, once we've done that, we go and sell, right? So we're selling now. Here, people are buying, and at this point, we got to keep them happy and keep them coming back. And this is where we got to develop customer loyalty and customer relationships. That's what's known as CRM. Okay. Put this here, the text box. So here we're developing okay. All right. So how do we keep customers loyal? How do we get them interested, excited?
I'm sorry, what is, it's customer relationship what?
Oh, I'm sorry, management.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sure. So this is where we've got to keep our customers loyal, keep them coming back, and create delight for them. It could be something as simple as thanking them in an email for buying your product. It could be sending them coupons for future items. It can be inviting them. I know for ladies who might be interested in fashion, there's a great example, the high fashion store Theory. They invite women in for special sales. So if you've purchased enough, they invite you in for this special sale where you feel really exclusive. They put out the champagne, they make you feel great, and now you feel more of a loyal customer. An even simpler one, if you go to the old Subways, when you have the punch card and you get 9 punched and the 10th one's free, there's no way you're not buying a 10th sandwich, right? Like, you're excited, you're pumped up. Believe it or not, those are part of this. So there's all different ways that we're going to learn. And if we do this right, and we do it enough, and we listen to our customers, and we give them what they want based on changing customers' needs and wants, we can get to here, which is the end goal for our marketing, okay? So that's what we're doing with this process. You guys with me on this so far? Everyone good there? Any questions? Okay, thanks. So let's move forward a little bit. And we've actually discussed all this. The needs can be, well, let's do this, guy. We only have a few minutes left. So I don't want to take you too far in and just throw a bunch of words at you at this point. What I'd like you to do is reread the chapter now that we've started to go over this. What I'm going to do for you is I'm going to try and create a second video that will do the rest of this information for you, and I'm going to post it. So I'm going to talk about the rest of the pieces in the chapter. I'll post it for you, and then you can see it rather than try and get it done in 4 minutes. Everyone good with that? And I will put it under module 1. And that'll just be to help you. If you feel you've really got it from the book and I don't think I need additional help, that's fine. If you do, anytime, okay? Now, I just have to warn you, next week I'm going away on a conference that I've had scheduled for about 6 months. If I can't be in time, which it may not be depending on when the flight arrives, again, I will record next week's chapter for you and publish it. I will send you an email ahead of time letting you know what's going on. Every other week, I'm planning to be live with you every time. If you can't be live with us, and you know this can't be every week, obviously, but if one comes up, something happens, I'm going to try and record all these sessions. I've recorded this one tonight. I'm going to download it and then upload it for you to look at. And like I said, I will do the second one for you as well. I want to really thank you guys. We're piloting this all together. And you guys have been great tonight and some fantastic comments. It went better than I expected, to be honest. So thank you very much. I'll look forward to, remember, for next week, you're going to have your first full discussion board. Those who haven't yet, get those snapshot bios up so I can read about you. Those who did, they were great. I commented on everyone who did send one in. If you're having trouble, again, accessing any of this stuff, come see me. Or, well, you can't come see me, but please email me and we'll work through it. Okay, so your assignment for next week, just to be clear and to match what's on the syllabus, is you're going to read chapter 2, which will be on marketing strategy, marketing management strategy, and respond to the discussion board and 2 other students. Okay.
And we meet every week, or how does that work?
Yes, we meet every week at this time. Again, there may be an exception next week because I will be going away for a conference.
Okay.
But I will email you ahead of time. So plan to be here at 6 because I may be able to get there in time. I may be able to do it. But just in case, I will do a backup recording that won't be as lengthy, but I'll just go through the chapter, publish it for you, and you'll see it in Canvas. Look at the modules of the week. So I will post this one in the week and the secondary one, and then the second one will be for next week. Okay, guys? Any other questions or concerns right now before we head out?
I have a quick question. Just, I know you mentioned this in the beginning with the discussion boards thing, like our initial post should be about a page long.
Yes.
In terms of the response to other people's, is there, I know you want a thoughtful response connecting it to the chapter and what we're doing, but is there a specific length for the response or just?
That's going to be a lot shorter. Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry. So, even just a couple or a few sentences, just what I want to see is that you can derive from what they're saying and find interesting, right? I don't want to see, hey, that was good, or, oh, that's nice, or, oh, you stink. Like nothing real negative, please, okay? If you find negative, don't comment on that one, please. We're not looking to start Twitter wars. We want to keep it all on the positive, all right? So just one where you found something interesting. Wow, I knew that too. I didn't think of it. And it also connects to X. Does that help, Kaylee?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, not at all. And remember, for your first reply, put it on a Word document. The grammar counts on this, okay? It has to be well thought out and well delivered there because I am going to be looking for that. All right. Well, great job, guys. Give yourselves a hand and look forward to speaking with you next week, and if not, recording with. Thank you all. Have a good
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye now. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.